Hey everybody, Daniel here. If you watched my most recent video, which was my YouTube Sports Card Hall of Fame nominations or votes, you may have noticed in the background this little model airplane. You may or may not have noticed that. But the reason that was there is because last week I was actually out of town, out of state for my great uncle's funeral. And he lived in Northern California. So I'm in Arizona, with some stops along the way. It was like a 14-hour ride. It's Northern California. And one of my sisters and I, we went out on Tuesday, drove up on Tuesday. The service was on Wednesday, and then we drove back Thursday. So real quick, lots of driving, but it was nice to be able to go and to pay respects, to see some family that haven't seen in a while, and get to spend some time with my sister on the drive. Anyways, lots of emotions and memories and things like that. So, but I talk about this because my great uncle's daughter is my first cousin once removed. I think that's right. She is the one that put together the service. So there was a short service at the cemetery, and then we went to a church where they had a program, with video, a slideshow of pictures from his life and things like that. And then we went to another room where they had a luncheon, and on the tables for the luncheon were a bunch of different model airplanes. And that's because my great uncle loved to put together model airplanes. And so what my first cousin once removed did was she used those as like a centerpiece for the tables during the luncheon. And then she announced that, when you leave, be sure and take one of the model airplanes to remember her dad, my great uncle. And I thought that was a fantastic idea, a great way to allow people to remember this person, whether it was, her as her father, me as a great uncle, friends, whatever it is, right? But it's a great way to remember him. And, so every time I look at that, I get to remember my Uncle Louis. And it got me thinking about, as funerals do, it got me thinking about kind of my life and my funeral and what that's going to look like. And I decided right then and there, I want to give away baseball cards at my funeral. That's, similar to these planes. I want there to be baseball cards out on the tables that everyone can walk away with a baseball card to remember me by. And, I came home and I told my wife, hey, this is what I want. And she looked at me a little funny, but that's all right. And she's like, well, how will I know? And I'm like, no. I'll set aside cards that will be the cards for the funeral. And so that's what I'm going to do is I go through cards. As I come across cards, I'm going to set cards aside that, to me are meaningful in a certain way that I want to have available at my funeral for people to take home to remember me by. So, these aren't going to be huge, expensive cards. that's not the plan. Those will get passed down to my kids and things like that. But there are plenty of cards out there that are meaningful to me, that aren't expensive and can be given out as a token of, in remembrance of me in a small way, right? So I was watching, Nolan Ryan had a birthday recently, and I was watching that 70s card show. He was going through some unlicensed Nolan Ryan stuff, and so it got me thinking about Nolan Ryan. And I was going through the Nolan Ryan cards that I have. I've got boxes of Hall of Famers, and Nolan Ryan, I have quite a few cards, probably like close to 1,000 cards, tons of dupes though, but a lot of cards. And so I was going through there, and I was like, there's a lot of cards in here that these would be like those types of cards, right? So, for example, here's a 1999 Topps reprint. So this was the Nolan Ryan kind of like tribute set that they did, where they reprinted all of his cards from his rookie card up, and it has that specific, gold stamp on there. Anyways, but, so this would be a perfect example of a card. Now, am I going to put out the actual rookie card? No. But this card would be a great representation of my collection of Nolan Ryan, and the fact that I was able to grab his rookie card as part of his Topps playing days run. So, again, I think that this would be a great card to include. Again, I've got a small stack here. So how about the 89 Upper Deck with the multiple exposures, right? This was kind of the first time I remember seeing anything like this, right? Now, if you look back at multiple exposure cards, you'll find that Donruss actually did some prior to this, but this was the first time I was seeing it, and it blew my 8-year-old mind. So that would be maybe a great card to include. How about the first 5 cards of the 1990 Topps set, as they honored Nolan's 5,000th strikeout? I mean, this was a crazy, I remember when these came out, and it was like, wow, he's got the first 5 cards. Like, that doesn't happen. You have, prior to this, right, you had it happen with Hank Aaron, where he had, multiple cards at the beginning of a set. So the then home run king. And then you had it happen a little bit later with Pete Rose, who was the hit king. And then you had it happen with Nolan Ryan, the strikeout king. So, I mean, that's not something that happened all that often, and I think those would be kind of cool cards. You also had Upper Deck that wanted to commemorate the 5,000th strikeout in 1990. Donruss that did the 5,000 Ks card in 1990. This card, again, 1990, this was not a Diamond Kings card. This was a King of Kings card. And I remember that being a big deal. Like, whoa, it's not a Diamond Kings card. This is a King of Kings card for Nolan Ryan. Nolan Ryan was everywhere in 89, 90, 91, 92, 93, right? As he finished out his career. Okay, this would be a great card as well, right? I believe this is 91 Upper Deck. This is kind of like the final in the set, right? So it's the checklist card for his 9 baseball heroes cards. So you get that look at him as a Met and an Angel and an Astro and as a Ranger, and then kind of with the famous football from his 1990 Upper Deck card. But think about this. This was 1991. He was still playing. So Upper Deck in 1990, they had started the Baseball Heroes subset or insert set with Reggie Jackson, retired. In 92, they had Ted Williams, retired. Also in 92, again, they had Nolan, who was not retired. But then they had, I think, Joe Morgan and Johnny Bench. Then in 93, they had like Willie Mays. And then as you go further, they had Mickey, all guys that were retired, but not Nolan. They did this while he was still playing, which, again, kind of blows my mind. So that would be a great card to include. 1992 Fleer Provision, Nolan Ryan. I love the Provision sets. And, you know, if I had to narrow it down to one Nolan Ryan card to be put out, you know, up for grabs at my funeral, I don't know if it would be this one, because there's some awesome Provision, you know, 91 Provision cards, hard to beat, but this one's fantastic. See all the tally marks there for the strikeouts. Just a fantastic looking card that, you know, is certainly a candidate. You have this was a SP number 2, A Day to Remember. I remember this day. I truly remember this when this happened. It was May 1st of 1991. Same day, Ricky Henderson breaks the all-time stolen base record. Nolan Ryan throws a 7th no-hitter. So how cool is that you have this card that commemorates both of those events happening on the same day? So that would be a great one. Or maybe it's one of these Whataburger cards. I remember going to Whataburger with my parents and getting these cards. I've got, I think, 2 sets plus some extras of these cards because we went to Whataburger to get these cards. So to me, that's sentimental, right? And I think that would be a great card. You have these, the last 4 that I have are kind of career capper cards. So, you know, he pitched through 93. So these are all from 94. And the Stadium Club, it's a great shot on the front of him kind of walking off and tipping his cap with everybody standing up. Fantastic card. It talks about him retiring. Retires holding 53 league records. And so, you know, that's a fantastic card there. The other 3, you have the Upper Deck Tribute, the Donruss Career Salute, and the Topps Major League 27 Seasons card. Again, all great cards. Cool thing about them is on the back, you have the entire, all of his statistics from 1966 through 1993. Pretty incredible. So those would all be fantastic cards. Again, I hope nobody thinks, wow, that's kind of morbid to think about your own funeral. But, you know, when you attend funerals, it kind of gets you thinking about that. And baseball cards, I love baseball cards. If you're watching this, you love baseball cards too. And I thought this was a really cool idea inspired by this little model airplane of my great uncle's. that, you know, as I'm going through cards, I could sort out and put together a stack of cards that are meaningful to me, that I could leave to those who come to to remember me at my funeral. Anyways, um, this has been, you know, it was fun just going through Nolan Ryan cards, and this is just Nolan Ryan cards. So, like I said, none of these cards are super valuable, but in their own way, each one is meaningful to me. And so I can't wait to continue to go through my collection and find those cards that have that meaning that I can set aside. But thanks for watching. Everybody have a great rest of your day.